Well, I've got a cold this week, so I thought not only would I practice impeccable self care by filming a restorative class for when you have a common cold, but also I put one in the bank for when you might have a common cold. Hi, I'm Melissa from Yoga with Melissa, and yes, even yoga teachers get viruses from time to time. Today we're going to do a restorative yoga class for when you have a common cold, so it's going to really pay special attention to that congestion in the chest and in the head. So we're going to do everything we can to keep your head above your heart. I couldn't believe it when I was looking at other classes or recommendations for how to do yoga when you have a cold, and there were like all these head below the heart poses, and I was like, oh my God, that's a lot of pressure to put on your head when you've got congestion in your head. So I thought that's the last thing I want when I have a cold. We're also going to be opening up the chest and also the area of the groin, because there's a lot of lymph nodes in those areas, and that will help to stimulate the immune system. So we're going to start in reclined bound angle pose, but not all the way reclined. You want to have your bolster set up with 2 blocks and the bolster like this so that your head is above the heart. You're also going to need a strap, a blanket, and have a chair close by as well, too, for today's class. So because we're using our blocks behind the bolster, you want to use your strap for over your knees. So it goes like this. You make a big loop, and then you'll have to kind of adjust it a bit. So it's going to go around your legs like this, and then you'll tighten it as much as you want it tightened until it feels like it's supporting your legs here. And then you're going to very carefully rest back in supported bound angle pose, so those blocks stay in place. So the most important thing when you're sick is to get lots of rest. And in fact, just before we filmed this class, I did 2 yoga nidras. I've got yoga nidra for healing. I did that one twice. And restorative yoga is wonderful when you're sick because it is so restorative. These poses, as I mentioned, are great because they get right into the lymphatic system, which will help to boost your immune system as well. So your task here is simply to rest deeply. So over the course of this class, we're going to work our way through John O'Donohue's poem for a friend on the arrival of an illness. And just do a couple of verses in each pose to have some time to reflect and to be gentle and kind and offer yourself non-abandoning attention as you are ill without judgment. May you find in yourself a courageous hospitality towards what is difficult, painful, and unknown. May you find in yourself a courageous hospitality towards what is difficult, painful, and unknown. May you use this illness as a lantern to illuminate the new qualities that will emerge in you. May the fragile harvesting of this slow light help you to release whatever has become false in you. May you use this illness as a lantern to illuminate the qualities that will emerge in you. May the fragile harvesting of this slow light help you to release whatever has become false in you. Okay, so we're going to slowly come out of this pose. Going to draw your legs together. And remember the blocks behind you, so carefully come up. And then we're going to come around into child's pose. So if this doesn't work for your knees, what you can do is sit in a chair and then set up, so you'd have two chairs facing each other, sit in a chair, and then have the bolster leaning against the second chair. Does that make sense? So that's a nice option if child's pose for 10 minutes and is like going to be murder on your knees. Okay, so, but if it sounds awesome, then join me here. And we're going to do it elevated again. I'm going to turn my head the other way because with the mic. So again, we've got the lymph nodes in the groin here. And you can also breathe right into your low back and stimulate your adrenals and your kidneys. So keep softening and relaxing and letting go. Unlike in yin yoga where there should be some tension along the meridian lines, in a restorative yoga class, you want everything to be completely relaxed. Your task in a restorative class is to be on the lookout for tension and allow it to release. Okay, so turn your head so it's facing the other way for the second half of this pose. The next verse from the John O'Donohue poem. May you trust this light to clear a path through all the fog of old unease and anxiety, until you feel arising within you a tranquility profound enough to call the storm to stillness. May you trust this light to clear a path through all the fog of old unease and anxiety, until you feel arising within you a tranquility profound enough to call the storm to stillness. Okay, so you can come out of this pose now, and you can put this bolster just off to the side for now. You're going to need the 2 blocks though. We're going to do supported fish pose. So you're going to just rest back in supported fish pose. This will be nice because it's going to open up your chest and still keep your head up. Okay, so you're going to bend your knees, roll to your side. Okay, so for this one, we're going to do bound angle pose supported, upright as a forward fold. So you're going to fill the space underneath your legs, remembering that this is a restorative class. And when you fold forward, you want to use the bolster here like this and not fold forward too much so that you don't want pressure in your head. So It's more for the shape here, so that it gets into your groin and your lymph nodes in your groin. Okay, so we're going to continue with John O'Donohue's poem here, but I'm going to unpack it a little because this part of the poem, he asks a lot of questions. And I think sometimes when we experience illness, we can be really hard and aggressive with ourselves and really try to figure everything out. And I think that creates a new kind of aggression because most likely leading up to the illness, there's a kind of aggression going on that allowed your body to become run down. So the illness found its way in the first place. And then there's this kind of aggression to figure it out, to get rid of it, rather than a making space for healing. And so I'm not a big fan of this kind of questioning myself. Rather, I'm more in favor of making space for the illness and treating yourself with a lot of tenderness and kindness and care. Because to me, a lot of times the questioning leads to judging, and I just don't think that's really that helpful. So let's look at these questions and maybe unpack them a bit and see if they're actually really that useful. So John O'Donohue says, "May you find the wisdom to listen to your illness." And so I think that's quite useful, to listen to the illness, because a lot of times there's messages there that ask us to slow down and to take more care and to be more gentle with ourselves. And then here, I think the question, ask it why it came, I think a lot of times that question can be quite aggressive and judgmental. I think I personally would leave that question aside. This next one I really quite like, ask it why it chose your friendship. Because there's a lot of times there is something for us in the illness. It does ask us to slow down and take more care of ourselves. And the next one, where it wants to take you, I think this one, if we aren't rushing to get ourselves back to some kind of normal or productivity or something like that, that question can be quite helpful. What the illness wants you to know, I think that question can be kind of aggressive too. It's like, then the illness has to be productive, and I don't like that. What quality of space it wants to create in you. So I quite like that question because it creates an openness and spaciousness that actually is like Rumi's guest house, right? This illness comes, we say, come in, be my guest, and I'm going to become friends with you. and what you need to learn to become more fully yourself. And I like this too, because then we don't have this adversarial relationship with the illness. We see that it's arrived in our lives because it can allow us to know all sides of ourselves, not just the side that is productive and achieving in the world, but the side that can slow down, rest more, and take more care. So what you need to learn to become more fully yourself, that your presence may shine in the world. And I think the word presence is really important in that sentence, because a lot of times the shining in the world gets wrapped up in our doing. So I think that whole phrase is kind of tricky. So that's why I really wanted to unpack it. Okay, next stanza. May you keep faith in your body, learning to see it as a holy sanctuary, which can bring this night wound gradually towards the healing and freedom of dawn. May you keep faith with your body, learning to see it as a holy sanctuary, which can bring this night wound gradually towards the healing and freedom of dawn. Okay, very slowly we're going to come out of this pose. And for our final restorative pose, you're going to need a chair. Okay, so you're going to need to elevate your pelvis a bit. And then we're going to do wide-legged seated forward fold. And then you're going to fold forward on the chair. And it should be easy. So bring your legs in as much as you need to. Remember, it's a restorative pose. It's meant to be restful. This reminds me of when we were kids at school and they used to say, put your head down on the table. And then you'd have little naps. Did you guys do that in school? So continuing with the John O'Donohue poem. May you be granted the courage and vision to work through passivity and self-pity, to see the beauty you can harvest from the richest of this dark invitation. May you learn to receive it graciously and promise to learn swiftly that it may leave you newborn, willing to dedicate your time to birth. Okay, so we're going to come out of this pose, and you can put your chair off to the side. And we're going to come into a modified Shavasana, just so that your head's elevated so you can still breathe. So I'm going to use that same setup I had before at the beginning. And rest back that way. Okay, and then just keep resting back in Shavasana, and I'm going to sit up and read you that John O'Donohue poem in its entirety. For a friend on the arrival of an illness. May you find in yourself a courageous hospitality toward what is difficult, painful, and unknown. May you use this illness as a lantern to illuminate the new qualities that will emerge in you. May the fragile harvesting of this slow light help you to release whatever has become false in you. May you trust this light to clear a path through all the fog of old unease and anxiety, until you feel arising within you a tranquility profound enough to call the storm to stillness. May you find the wisdom to listen to your illness. Ask it why it came, why it chose your friendship, where it wants to take you, what it wants you to know, what quality of space it wants to create in you, what you need to learn to become more fully yourself, that your presence may shine in the world. May you keep faith in your body, may you keep faith with your body, learning to see it as a holy sanctuary, which can bring this night wound gradually towards the healing and freedom of dawn. May you be granted the courage and vision to work through passivity and self-pity, to see the beauty you can harvest from the richness of this dark invitation. May you learn to receive it graciously and promise to learn swiftly, that it may leave you newborn, willing to dedicate your time to birth. Okay, so gradually invite some movement back into your body and carefully make your way off your bolster structure. We can come up to seated to, I don't know if I should sing that mantra series today. Okay, so we'll gather the fruits of our practice in towards ourselves first and then offer them out into the world. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings be happy and free, and may the thoughts, words, and actions of my own life contribute in some way to the happiness and freedom for all. So if this class was helpful for you today, or if you think it will be helpful for you at some time in the future, please give it a thumbs up. And why don't you, in the comments, give me your best cold and flu remedies, or if and your best tips for avoiding cold and flu through the winter, because it's not even winter here yet, and look at, I'm already into my first cold. I put some great links in the show notes for you with lots of yoga for immunity videos, especially some short ones. And also I put my best yoga for recuperation videos. Those are in the membership community, but there's a restorative one in there, all short ones, restorative. And then there's a yoga nidra, and it's a member favorite. Like, I had a member calling me the other day. She couldn't find it because we've just moved our old site over to the new site, and it was lost, and she was in a major panic. She told me that this yoga nidra has allowed her to go off sleeping pills. So, yeah. So she was like, I don't want to go back on sleeping pills. I'm like, don't worry, we'll find it. And we found it, and she was so relieved. But it's not just her. It's a favorite of a lot of people, this one. I don't know what it is about that one. It's like magic for people. And then there's, in that series too, there's a spleen and thymus and tonsils. So also very dedicated to the organs of the immune system in that short series. And then there's a golden oldie in there. Like when I used to sell DVDs, I did this really great yoga for immunity boost. So before you get sick, not when you're sick, but before you get sick, there's this great hour-long video. So, and yeah, I think that's it. So I'll put the direct links for members, and then a link to become a member if you'd like to become a member. And I'd like to say hi to all our new members, which they're saying hi in the forum. They're becoming very active in the membership community already, but there's been a lot of you coming on lately. So thank you for joining. We appreciate your support, and we love getting to know you in the membership community. Sending you much love from beautiful British Columbia. May you be as strong as our mountains. May you be as rooted as our trees, and may your joy be as deep as our Pacific Ocean. Om Shanti, Namaste.